Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Hello and welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. I love to invest in high value, high promise companies, especially in the biotech space. And boy, I've got a company and a gentleman today who is really going to give you a value proposition like none you've probably ever seen before. The name of the company is CellSci, and this is Mr. Geert Kurtzen. And if you're interested in CellSci, CVM is the stock ticker, but we're going to learn about it. So, Mr. Kurtzen, welcome to Looking at the Markets, sir.
Kirsten, by the way, Kersten, but don't worry, I'm used to it.
Oh, I hope you'll forgive me. I'm just so excited.
I don't care what they call me as long as we're successful.
There you go. You have a number of products in the pipeline, but the one that's interesting to me right now and top of mind for me is Multikine. This is for head and neck cancers. Can you tell me about Multikine, just the basics right now?
Let's take a step back. So we all know people who've had cancer, and generally, unless it's spread throughout the body, at which point you really can't save people anymore, we give people a combination of surgery, radiation, chemo, right? Those are like, the newest of those is 100 years old. From the chemotherapy comes from mustard gas. All the other ones are older. So we've made no progress. The whole idea is we combine surgery, radiation, chemo, trying to save you, cure you. Because if you're not cured, the cancer comes back. That's the beginning of a really, excuse my language, shitty road. And most people don't make it through that one. So all these new medicines are being developed, but they're all being developed for patients who are, we call them 5 minute from death patients. They failed everything. And maybe they get a month or 2 months of extra life, but it's wonderful, but it's not enough. So we believe that you must use the power of your own immune system to increase the chance of being cured. The reason I say cured, which you generally don't say in cancer therapy, is the first treatment is intent to cure. We want to make the intent to cure better. Now, let's take it one step further. Immunotherapy drugs are generally given after surgery, radiation, chemo. What does your immune system look like? Right?
Yeah.
It's all cut up, and the immune cells can no longer get to the tumor site. Chemo and radiation screw everything up. You put the three of them together, your immune system is decimated. And now I'm supposed to get your immune system to save you? It just doesn't work very well. So what about this idea? What if we put the immune system drug before surgery, radiation, and chemo? We're the first in the world to do this. It's not that people don't want to do it. It's in fact the biggest market, but it's in fact not possible for other cancer drugs because you only have a really short time period before surgery. You're not allowed to delay the surgery. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's really game-changing and potentially life-changing. I understand that the Multikine Phase 3 trial is the largest ever in head and neck cancer with 928 patients enrolled. What's the latest on the trial for this one?
Well, let me take a step back first of all. If you want to change something major, you can't take shortcuts. You can't come in with something little. People are just going to say, oh, it's not enough patients, study is not long enough, duration is not enough, you haven't controlled it well enough. No. You need to come in with overwhelming force. So it's the largest study ever done in head and neck cancer. And in fact, it lasted 9.5 years. Main reason there is people wouldn't die as quickly as expected. We're very happy about that. We finished the study. We're now in the process of final analysis. But I just want to come back to the idea. If I can increase your chance of being cured, first in head and neck cancer, where we start from here to there, horrible disease, cut tongues out, etc. But then also breast cancer, melanoma, etc. think about it. It's like redirecting a major river at its inception.
Hmm.
The implications are huge.
Yeah.
That is what we're trying to do. And never have we taken a shortcut. That's the key to change in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I understand that in May of 2020, this study reached the target threshold of 298, unfortunately, fatality events required to conduct the data evaluation. Now, that is tragic, but it's actually good for the study, from what I understand. It's a positive thing. Would you agree with that?
It's a very positive thing. In fact, there's a drug called Yervoy. It was one of the earliest cancer immunotherapy studies. And this was done in melanoma, and it had huge impact on the survival of melanoma patients. The study was supposed to take 3 years. Just like our study, they had to wait for a certain number of people to die. It's called events in our business. And the 3-year study ended up taking almost 5 years. And there were all these people saying, well, it can't be any good because, it's taking so long, blah, 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 blah. And the reality is, the very fact that it took so long occurred because people weren't dying. So that is exactly what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So by the way, melanoma, this was metastatic melanoma. At that time, the 5-year survival was in the range of 6 to 8%. It is now at 50%. You see the impact that you can make with an immunotherapy drug? It's phenomenal.
It's huge. It's huge. Now, for people, maybe shareholders or prospective shareholders, wondering when is the final data going to come out? Okay. What would you say to them? Would you just recommend they be patient, or what's the best thing you could recommend to them?
It's really not far off. So I can't give any details. I don't even know exactly myself. The process works as follows. There was a data lock where they had to make sure that everything, all the data was exactly right, all the queries were answered. That took longer because of COVID, but it was done. Then during that time, you finalize a statistical plan. And once we sign off on it, it gets handed to experts in statistics and other areas. And they then will conduct the analysis per that plan. The plan is basically based on FDA requirements and our protocol. Now, let me add something really important here.
Yeah.
10, 12, 15 years ago, FDA was very, very strict, and they wanted absolute proof that cancer drugs worked. And that's how our study is set up. In the meantime, though, they realized that it becomes almost impossible to get cancer drugs to come to the market that way. And they changed all of that. In fact, in the guidance that FDA issued in December of 2019 for our kind of drug, biologics, they say, and I may paraphrase it here and shorten it, basically they say, go through the whole study and give us every benefit that you can find. Yeah. Then we will apply 2 screens. Number 1, is it safe or not? Number 2, is it an unmet medical need? And so you're even seeing getting cancer drugs approved with no survival benefit these days, as long as they give clinical benefit and are safe. So these are good times, and because FDA is trying very hard to bring cancer drugs to the market.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a breakthrough. Already is becoming a breakthrough therapy for this undertreated, underappreciated range of conditions. And you've mentioned that while multi-kind in the treatment of head and neck cancer is Celsai's immediate focus and opportunity, based on the phase 3 results, Celsai may evaluate multi-kind for the treatment of other cancers. Can you tell me more about that?
So let's take a step back. Multi-kind gets approved, shows the benefits that we're looking for. And we think even if you show lesser benefits, you should still get approved because the drug is very safe from everything we've seen. The last approval was over 60 years ago in this disease, so it's a clear unmet medical need. You're cutting out tongues, taking out half of people's faces. It's horrible. Any improvement, we think, will have a good chance of getting to the market. Then the new treatment for newly diagnosed head and neck cancer patients, instead of just being surgery, radiation, chemo, will be multi-kind surgery, radiation, chemo.
Right.
Now, why wouldn't you apply that same idea to breast cancer, to melanoma, to cervical cancer, where in fact we already have data? This is your immune system. It is not specific to a tumor. Your immune system has amazing powers, but your immune system is blocked by diseases. If you can unblock it, if you can unleash it, there truly is no limit to the number of diseases where the immune system can make a difference in people's health and survival.
Yeah, I think
So
this is
that's the goal.
huge. It has a wide range of applicability. Could you envision multi-kind becoming a standard protocol for some of these indications before surgery? I could envision that. Do you see that as happening?
Well, in fact, that's how the phase 3 study is designed, right? The control group is people getting surgery, radiation, chemo, which is the current treatments. So we're giving them everything we have. And then we hope that they're cured. And so many of them are not. The 3-year survival rate, by the way, is 47%. 5-year survival is 37%. And it's really dismal. And the quality of life is miserable. Some of these people can't even eat. They have to eat through a straw, and they just waste away. You may remember Burl Ives. And he died of head and neck cancer. And from what I was told at the end, he was thin as a stick. And that guy looked like a bear, right? So why not? I mean, if you're in another disease, if you're using surgery, radiation, chemo, why not do the same thing? By the way, if you're only using radiation and chemo, there's no reason you can't put us before that either.
Yeah.
Now, I want to add one more thing. In many diseases, as a first treatment, we are using radiation and chemotherapy concurrently at the same time. The toxicity of that combined treatment is off the charts and, in fact, sometimes kills patients. And I hear that all the time from shareholders. I don't know what killed my mother, if it was the cancer or the treatments. So, if our drug had any toxicity, could you add it to the horrendous toxicity of radiation and chemo at the same time without killing more people? No. So this is the key thing. Not having a non-toxic cancer drug is important by itself because no one likes toxicity. But it allows you to combine your therapy with crappy medicines, which hopefully in 20 years will be replaced, but today we have to live with, right?
Yeah.
So in the end, the only way we're going to eliminate or conquer cancer successfully is by combining treatments. Even if I activate your immune response, and 10% of the patients in 3 weeks, no tumors left. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, 3 weeks is a really short time period. Maybe if I could give it longer, you'd do better. But still, it doesn't mean everybody benefits. You still need to combine it, and the lack of toxicity is important. And the same idea will be applied in other cancers and will be tried by people in dying cancer patients who are getting that last chemo, that last radiation, where everybody knows it's not going to do any good.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to give the impression that multi-kind is the only potential treatment in the pipeline. CellSci, and by the way, people need to go visit CellSci, CEL-SCI.com to get more information. But there's also the LEAPS Therapeutic Vaccines Program. This is indicated for rheumatoid arthritis, and there might be a COVID connection here. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, this is a technology that has received millions of dollars in government funding and collaborations in the past with the Army, with the Navy, universities. Very, very interesting. We hope to take it into human clinical trials this year, in fact, for rheumatoid arthritis. Again, the idea is to create quantum leaps, right? Just incremental progress, it just doesn't excite me. The quantum leap of this technology is that it can reprogram the immune system. So think about it this way. Rheumatoid arthritis is essentially an immune system that's gone bad and attacks itself. Your immune system attacks your body, your joints, right? So we have treatments for that to reduce the inflammation. But it doesn't change the underlying problem. The technology we have in multiple animal experience, we need to test it in humans, in multiple animal experiences was able to reverse the faulty immune response and reprogram the immune system to where it ought to be. The applications of that, in my mind, are never ending. All autoimmune diseases are potential targets for this. And hopefully we'll be able to put it to human testing this year in rheumatoid arthritis.
Gotcha. And finally, I just wanted to touch on a very interesting news item for CellSci. There was a bought deal that was finalized, the offering, in which the company should receive, if I'm correct, gross proceeds of over $14.5 million. What does the company plan to use with all that capital?
By the way, I want to point out, I don't think you can do better deals for the shareholders than I've been doing. This was a 5% discount, no warrants, completely clean deal. Okay, so yeah. Very nice. The main purpose is to expand our manufacturing facility. Now, we're still blinded, but obviously, everybody knows that. If you're involved in something day in, day out for 10 years, you have a much better sense of how things are going than anyone on the outside, right? We believe that this is going to be a successful study. And so therefore, we are expanding the manufacturing facility. We have one already in place for Multikine. We want to be able to produce 2 shifts. And also we are hiring additional personnel, because if you want to become standard of care, you must be able to supply fairly large amounts of drug.
Yeah.
And we believe we'll be successful, and we're preparing for it. It's that simple.
Yeah, I believe so as well. Oh, finally, I just wanted to touch upon now Multikine has earned orphan drug status from the U.S. FDA. What does that mean, just briefly, and why is that so important?
So essentially, Congress wanted to incentivize the development of drugs that have for less than 200,000 people in the U.S. For cancer, that's obviously a huge market. But what it means essentially is that the chance, orphan drug has a much greater chance of getting to market because Congress wants to see these drugs come to market. And you have an orphan drug office at FDA who will work with you and help you get your drug approved. Then there are a number of other advantages. But in the end, it boils down to the following. If you have an unmet medical need, which we have, if you look at FDA bends over backwards to bring drugs to market. If you have orphan drug, the chance of getting your drug to market is substantially greater. So these are 2 huge advantages that also for my own investments, I like to invest in those areas where there's the greatest chance of success because the regulator is going to be open to it, right? And orphan drug and unmet medical need are critical in that area. Regulators want to help you.
Yeah, sounds like Congress's fast track to hopefully, and I believe most likely, some sort of approval for Multikine and the other therapies offered in the pipeline from CellSci, but you're going to have to go to cellsci.com, CEL-SCI, to get more information if you're interested in investing, in taking part in this exciting, potentially life-changing breakthrough technology. It is CVM on the stock market. And of course, you want to do your own research, do your own due diligence before you invest in anything. But as far as biotechs go, I see this one as being highly successful in the near and long-term future. Mr. Kurtzen, I want to thank you so much for, first of all, forgiving me for mispronouncing and butchering your name, and second, for coming on my program. We're going to have you back here very soon to give us an update on CellSci's progress. Thank you so much, sir.
Yep. One morning, people are going to wake up to the news.
Very nice. I'm looking forward to that. I absolutely. Thank you for coming on and looking at the markets. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.